life in general. Hope everybody's doing well. So, I'm not sure if you ever been in a situation where you kind of felt like you wasn't able to help, right? Or wasn't able to come through for someone, right? Or you said that you was going to do something and you just wasn't available to do it at that moment, right? And you kind of beat yourself up about it, right? I know a lot of us do that a lot, right? I myself have been guilty of it, right? Because for the simple fact that, you know, you kind of want to be available and of service to people, but in the same token, you kind of neglecting yourself, right? And you kind of in neglecting your emotional bandwidth, right? If that's a good term, right? And it's not your fault. And I think people have to take the time to kind of have some self-care and definitely love themselves, and not to the point where you're above all and everything, but take some time to like legitimately love yourself, right? And you can't be any good to no one if you're not treating yourself right. Let me say that again. You can't be of any good to no one, if you're not treating yourself right, you're not loving yourself. You could be in relationships, right? And if you don't take care of yourself, how you gonna take care of somebody else, right? You kind of feeling a void, right? This emptiness, right? And how you gonna be of any good if you don't love yourself, take care of yourself, take care of your mental. Every now and then, we all have to kind of like power down and just kind of like really look at the world around us and really kind of take things in and not spread yourself too thin. It's okay to take a breather. All of us are constantly on the go. We're constantly on the hustle, trying to, make money or take care of things. Sometimes you gotta take a little bit of time for yourself. It's nothing wrong with that. And love yourself. And just be grateful and just have gratitude for what you currently have. I got a story. So I used to drop off supplies to various different people, right? And there's one place where I used to drop supplies off to, I always had like my shirt and tie on, right? And I dropped the supplies off to my guy, and then he said, it was one guy. He said, "Yeah, there go Pursuit of Happiness." He was talking about Will Smith character, right? And I was just like, because I had my shirt and tie on, right? But so one day I actually took the time to actually see Pursuit of Happiness. I actually saw it, but I didn't really look at it. Leave a comment down below if you saw a movie, but don't remember like the context. But I actually sat down and watched the movie, and I seen Will Smith, and his character became a millionaire later on. But the whole time he was going through this whole situation, he looked at miserable. He looked at miserable. His character looked at miserable. He was like in despair. And but the only thing about it was, and just kind of going with the full circle moment is, I wasn't taking the time to love myself, or really taking the time to really, reevaluate things and kind of look at what's really important, right? And I think at that time just was my mental health and my mental well-being. I'm sorry, y'all, my eyes is watered, but I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Leave a comment down below if this kind of resonated with you. You know, if you like this type of content, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.